Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Life, Love, Everything podcast. It's me, Tasmin Bota. So I've been debating and debating whether or not I wanted to have this discussion. And you know what? I've just decided the fact that it's been on my mind and the fact that I need to let it out so that I can 100% move on, even though I do feel like I have moved on to a degree. I thought, let me just jump in and share. So remember that I mentioned in the first episode about I had some issues regarding the website for the online store, and I was iffy about whether to share it. So this is that story. We are obviously going to use pseudonames about this story, but I don't even know if hoodwinked is the correct word to use, but I feel like in life there are a lot of opportunists, and people will try any which way to try and use other people for their own personal gain. It's something that I have learned a lot in life. You don't get to be this young and tender age without learning a few things along the way, and you're also never too old to learn. So maybe a year or almost 2 years ago, we met, what seemed to be like these lovely people, and we will call the man John. John was into tech. And of course, as it is when you're getting to know new people, asking each other, what do you do? Da 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 da. And of course, comes up the subject of, I run the nonprofit organization, and then I just started an online store. John seemed very, very, very interested in what I did with the nonprofit organization. And you know what? It's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last time that people ask in-depth questions about the organization. And I'm an open book. There's nothing to hide about what it is that we are doing. And so I didn't read too much into it. One thing about John that stood out to me was that John used to like to ask a lot of questions about a lot of things and always had an opinion about everything, but you hardly ever got to hear too much about his personal life and stuff. So business was an easy topic. So we had a friend in common. And so, it was kind of nice that we had other couples that we could relate to and that we could speak with, and we could just chill. And it was easy to chill because we lived in close proximity to each other. And, overall, I mean, I really, really, really liked the chick. She was such a down-to-earth, easy to get along with person. And just, it felt like it was the right setup for us. And so when John eventually approached me and he was like, hey, I've started my own thing, in the tech world. And, these are the services that we offer. And we can help you with a website. And it was actually not too long after I had done my own website for the nonprofit organization. And where I am hosting our website is free. I don't have to pay for it. And as the name says, nonprofit, we like not making money for profit. And in actual fact, the nonprofit has never ever made money. All the things that you see that happen around or with the nonprofit comes through in-kind donations. And pretty much me asking my husband, if I am going to be honest. It's me asking my husband and normally my friends, that find what the work that we are doing quite moving. And then, of course, yes, we do approach other people as well. So I was like, actually, I don't really need a website for the nonprofit. I really need a website for the online store. I did have a website for the online store. It was a very, 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 very basic, very mediocre. It wasn't up to the standard of what I had envisioned for our website. However, it was what I could afford to work with at that time. Because as you know, having a website costs money. Whether I am selling product or not, I still have to pay for that website. And so the way that it was set up at that time was okay. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to put in heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of money that I actually really didn't have into something that wasn't generating income for me. I just wanted somewhere where people can go and look at the items and if need be order it online, or you could contact me directly. I mean, I know a lot of thriving businesses that are surviving only by using social media and WhatsApp. So in this day of 2025, yes, websites are trusted, but it's not the only go-to anymore. And so I was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm good with the nonprofit. I'm really interested in the online store. And kind of just left it at that. Like I didn't hound the situation, or it is what it is. Like the online store, as much as the vision and the goal is big in my mind, in life and in my current season and where we are, like, it's not my bread and butter, let's be honest. And so my energies are obviously focused on other things and things that are generating actual income for me. Anyway, some time went past, and then all of a sudden John was like, hey, can I come over? I want to show you something. I've been working on something. Okay, cool. Comes over and shows me a mock-up website that he has done for the nonprofit. So I was like, whoa, no. I mean, it looks good. It looks really good, great job. But I really don't need a website for the nonprofit. I'm happy with what I have done. And yeah, I don't want to pay for something if I don't have to, but I'm really, really interested in doing one for the e-commerce. And so eventually it's like, okay, I'll stop with working on the nonprofit one and I'll do one for the e-commerce, which he did and offered it to me at an extremely affordable rate, which I knew. I mean, I've been doing my research about how much does this stuff really cost, So not that I don't know how much it costs to host and all of that and develop and design and whatever. I'm very au fait with e-commerce because in my previous job, I literally did the e-commerce side as one of the parts of my job that I did. So I understand how the back end of the website works. And so eventually, he gives me the details. Here you go. Here's the website. The information that was on there was very basic. So what I did was I sat and they literally took what the website was and just moved all that information onto this new hosting site, which was okay. But, I was told that I do SEO, which is search engine optimization, and all these things, which in my mind meant that, you're going to provide all the things that I need in order for us to be successful and start generating actual sales on the website. But I was also like, you know what? Okay, fine. It's not that way. And it's okay because I know I'm not paying a really large amount of money for this site. So let me do my own due diligence, you know what I'm saying? So I went and I played around and I added images and added wording, added the, whatever was missing in order for it to look like a viable website. But as I was doing that, I was making notes to say, hey, in fact, I was going to send an email to say, but hey, you haven't done this and you haven't done that and you haven't done this and you haven't done that. But as I was finding the issues, I was actually solving the problem, myself as I went through it. Anyway, because the website, the online store, isn't something that I focus on. So it's not something that I was going on a daily basis to see what is going on. I mean, I wasn't getting any emails to say that I've made any sales or anything like that. So it wasn't necessary for me to be on there all the time. So like I said earlier, we had mutual friends in common. So we would all like hang out together when we would hang out together. And I must say, the one friend really, really helped me when it came to the SEO side. And so I was able, to add meat to what I had on there to try and generate traffic to the website. Then there was once I took a screenshot because actually I had applied for a job and they had actually told me, hey, we've got an online store, da 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 da. So I had said, you know what, I've done my own website. Obviously it's hosted by someone else, but I know pretty much, and I can show you, what I've done with the website, da da da. And so I took a screenshot because I think at that time we weren't live as yet. Took a screenshot to show them the some of the work that I had done, and obviously on the landing page I had put this picture on. Fast forward, now I'm ready to go live and I log on to the site and I'm like, something's not looking okay. And it took me like maybe a day or two for me to realize what the problem was, only to find out that landing page image had been removed. And I was like, hey, tell John, hey, I see that someone removed this image. And there was no response, no anything, and a few minutes later the image is back up. So now obviously when you work on the back end, you can see who is working on. I didn't necessarily have access to see what they were working on, but I could see who had been working on it. But anyway, I was like, I'm not going to rock the boat, upset the apple cart because of one lousy image. It is what it is. And so from time to time, when I had time, I would log onto the website, squiz around, da 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 da. Then there came a point. So now there came a point whereby the mutual friend and I had a falling out. And I think this obviously, things were said. I was trying very much to keep the peace. I don't want anyone to be in an awkward position. You know what I'm saying? And so I just, I didn't want to rock the boat and for anyone to feel like they're obligated to either side. But already I could see something wasn't lacquer, which is okay. You know me, I've got like so much on my plate. I don't have time to be worried about what other people have going on in their lives because I've got too much going on in my life. And so one of the evenings was like, not evenings, it was early mornings when I was working, like really, really early in the morning. When I had time, and that's the time when I would actually log on and go and check stuff, which was normally on a weekend. So it'd be like early hours, Saturday morning or something. And I log on and I see a bunch of the images, like now the actual products have been deleted. And I can see who was the last person to be working on the site. Find it very strange. Anyway, send a message to say, hey, all the images have been deleted off of the website. Most of them, what's going on? And I get obviously a very, very not nice response saying, I don't work on weekends. We'll check it out, on Monday. So like when my husband woke up, I tell him, I'm like, hey, like just have a look here, and this is the response that I get. So he's like, no, call and see what is going on. And so I call. And already you could hear there was an attitude already. And if there's something that really, 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 really grates me is when someone speaks to me as if I am illiterate and uneducated. Now, I might not know too much about tech. and computers and websites and all that stuff. Granted, but that does not mean that I am uneducated. So please do not speak to me like I am dumb. Like, honestly, it really, really. And so I was trying with all my might to keep a cool, calm, level head while having this exchange. And when I said, but clearly someone has deleted the picture, the response was not in the exact words, but basically, are you accusing me of deleting the pictures? So then I said, you know that I can see who was the last person to work on there. And so obviously someone told somebody to do something. And this most probably was the thing that pushed this particular person over the edge. And he decided to cuss at me. So those of you who know my background, yes, I might be living in suburbia now, but I know where I come from, and I'm always going to be that girl. If you know, you know. And so I was trying very hard, again, not to be disrespectful, but I'm not going to be spoken to in any kind of way either. And obviously, after this person decided to swear at me, they proceed to tell me they are ending the relationship. Mind you, sorry, I have to backtrack a bit. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior to all of this going down, John had contacted me to say that, listen here, we are going to be increasing our prices on the website, on the hosting or whatever. This is how much it's going to be, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I had said to him, you know what? My contract is ending soon. I'm not going to have a reliable, stable income. And so when that time comes, let us, we'll call it quits, because I was obviously paying for something that I was not generating income from. So that we had this discussion, right, prior to the situation happening. But I was getting the feeling that John actually wanted to get rid of me. And that was the whole reason why the price increase thing was brought up. And so, yeah, after swearing me, proceeds to tell me that the relationship is severed. They will no longer be offering me their services, puts the phone down. I obviously go and tell my husband what has gone down. Now, listen, okay, my husband does not play about his wife, does not play about his kids either. So if you want to see the ugly side of him, do or say something about his wife and kids. So he picks up the phone to have a conversation with this individual. And so the individual proceeds to swear him. And now, so we're both standing there, blood boiling. Yeah, it was something. Like, it took a lot to talk each other off of the ledge. I must rewind a little bit, because actually how the conversation went between John and I was that he severed the relationship and then dropped the phone. And then we continued to argue via text. I'm so sorry. Yeah, we continued to argue via text. And that's when he swore me on the text message, which is when my husband picked up the phone to phone him, and he verbally swore my husband over the phone. But while him and I were having this back and forth, he says to me, I have costed him 10,000 rands. In this, was it a year? I don't even think it was a year that he was hosting me. And like, it just didn't make sense to me, because I think by that time, like, in total, like, all the invoices that I paid had come up to about 2,000 at that time. Like I'm saying, it was a very minimum amount that he was charging me. And so this kept, playing in my mind. I owe him 10,000 rand. And guys, if you know me, you know that I am not about owing people. I will, like, I'm the kind of person that settles their bills. I never ever want anyone to be looking at me up and down or looking at me snarks saying that I owe them money. And so I'm like to my husband, this dude is saying that I owe him 10 grand. How? For a website? I'm like, And for like days after that, it kept playing on my mind, playing on my mind. And then I remember there was a time twice where he had asked me about the nonprofit and being tax compliant. Which I explained to him what our tax situation was. And maybe I didn't explain it in layman's terms. And so maybe it went over the head. But again, I didn't think anything of it. I also know that round about that time, or not too far before that time, he was busy with his tax information. And as it is, God, he likes to come to speak to me at all these funny hours of the morning. The penny dropped as to why this person would say that I owe them 10,000 Rand. And my conclusion is that this person tried to file tax and get an exemption using my nonprofit. And obviously it did not work according to their favor. And you see the thing about God. You see how God don't play about his children. Like, you can try and do somebody dirty, and without them having to do anything, you will get what is due to you. So it's sad that that's the way that the relationship went and how it ended. But a big part of me, and why I am so fiercely protective over the nonprofit, is that this is not the first time someone has tried to play me when it comes to the nonprofit. And I've also been told by many, 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 many people that people look at our nonprofit and they think that we are getting millions of rands of funding, which is absolutely not even remotely close to being the truth. And so people just look at the glitz and glamorous side of it, like what you see me posting on social media and stuff, but nobody is there when I have my whole family here, including my little kids, packing up care packages. No one is here when I'm sending email after email after email and WhatsApp message and phoning people, literally begging for assistance in order to make whatever it is that we're trying to make possible. And so, yeah, if you go and look for our online store right now, we are non-existent. In fact, this person actually went and redirected it to some gambling site or something like that. And I was thinking, like, how conniving and dirty-hearted do you have to be in order to try and take what could potentially be someone else's livelihood, knowing fully well what my circumstances are? Because again, guys, I'm an open book. I tell things like it is. Like, you guys know, I have 3 kids. You know that I don't have a stable, permanent job that is generating money. You know that one of my children has special needs, and with having a special needs child comes lots and lots of expenses, medical, educational, allied health wise. So you know all of these things, because I have told you all of these things, and yet you still choose to try and screw me over. There's like no other word to do it. And I was thinking, what if that was my bread and butter? Like, can someone dislike or want to try and hurt someone so bad that they would take the food out of their children's mouth? I would never be able to even live with myself. Never mind walk past you almost on a daily basis, knowing that that's what I did. But I walk with my head held high because I know I did nobody dirty. All I did was not allow someone to speak to me in a disrespectful manner. And if you know me, another one of my pet peeves is being spoken to disrespectfully. I will never, ever, ever stand for that. And so, yeah, God did what he needed to do. He got what he needed to get without me, having to lift a finger or anything. Like, I trusted God to protect us, which he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least I might have lost 2,000 rand or however much that was. But food was never taken out of my children's mouths. You know, yeah. And so, yes, guys, when it comes to the online store, the actual website does not exist. But hey, I'm still selling. We are on WhatsApp. You can still order from me directly online or send me a DM on our socials at Preemie Baby World. And until I'm in a place whereby I know for a fact that I will have sole management and I can afford to host the website, I will not be putting up another website again. And it just also made me extra wary to be very cautious of the people who I surround myself with, who I open myself to, and who I allow to know what's going on in our inner workings. Because the truth of the matter is, not everybody has your best interests at heart. And the devil comes disguised in many different shapes and forms. But I think people don't just realize how entrusted I am in God, and that I only move and I am only led by what the Spirit tells me to do. So even though I still fall short, don't get me wrong, I do still fall short. I mean, we are human after all. And sometimes we don't like to listen. And I'm always trying to see the good in people. Like, I never ever think that someone is intentionally trying to do something to hurt me, because I would never ever do that to somebody else. And so I am always looking for the good in people. But you know, I'm learning now that someone needs to show me just one time who they truly are, and I believe it. With that being said, guys, thanks for joining me and listening to my sob story. And thank you for your support. Most importantly, thank you for your support. Yeah, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great one. And this was the Life Love Everything podcast with Tasmin Bota.